But it does say something about the state of Everton right now, that one of their former players, who is managing a club, albeit he says he's loyal to Derby, that is likely to be relegated from the Championship, doesn't even want to have an interview with them.
There's just so many different factors, though, isn't there? You know, it's the way the club's being run. He's looking at that and thinking, I don't know if I want to get involved in that setup.
I mean, it's being run better than Derby County's been. Let's be perfectly honest.
I know.
He took that job.
I know, but there's no point going from one sinking ship to potentially another sinking ship. Everton are in a dangerous place in the Premier League table, as we can see. And they're also a club that's not cut out for a relegation scrap. Some clubs are just used to it. Newcastle, certain clubs, every year they might get promoted and then be in that scrap. Everton are not the type of club, and their players, most of these players won't even know what to do in this sort of situation. So for Rooney to go there and take it as his first Premier League job, it's just way too much pressure. I don't think it's
the fact that he's taken himself out the running, I think is a smart thing, in my opinion.
It is 100%. But honestly, I think Lampard should be looking at it. And the reason I say Lampard should be looking at it is because it's a step down from the Chelsea job. I think the Chelsea job for him was a bit too soon. I understood it was a dream job, a dream opportunity, and he felt like he needed to take it. But we know what the owners are like there. They don't care if you're a legend at the club or not. And we saw that with Lampard. They took him out halfway through the season. With Everton, if it doesn't go right, no one's really going to blame him. It's almost kind of a free hit in the situation they're in right now. And then potentially he can then regather if they were to do the unthinkable and get relegated. I don't think Everton fans even want to hear this right now. But if it was to happen, no one's really going to blame Lampard for it because of the situation they're in. So I think he should come in there with his experience at Chelsea, his experience in the Championship as well at Derby, and take it forward.
But for me, I like Lampard, but I think it's a romance thing with these former players becoming managers, because what has Frank Lampard done in a managerial sense that should link him to the Everton job?
He took Chelsea into the Champions League and into the knockout stages of the Champions League the next season.
And then got sacked. And then he was at Derby, did an okay job. But I just think we're linking these managers to these big jobs, former players and stuff like that so easily. But then at the same time, what other managers are out there? Like Victor Pereira, he's actually got a good pedigree, but the fans don't want him. They want Lampard. On what basis, though?
Everton fans, what is the basis if you like Frank Lampard? 03717 223344. Ben is an Everton fan on talkSPORT. Good evening, Ben.
Hey mate, you okay?
I'm okay. How are you feeling about who the new manager should be?
To be honest, mate, I'm at the end of my tether with this team of mine. I really am. I've got a season ticket for them, and I dread Saturday now. Honestly, it's got to the point now where I just dread Saturday. And we've gone from David Moyes, who we've had for 13 years, and Everton were one of the clubs that always done things quietly. You never got to see what went on the inside. You never got to see that. Now it's an absolute circus. You've got a prospective manager going on Sky talking about the interview process. It's an absolute farce, the way the club's being run at the minute, and I'm at my wit's end with it all.
Who do you want to be the new boss?
Well, the fella I wanted him in the summer, and he's now managing Nice. Galtier, is he called? He was the one I wanted in the summer. We should have gone for him then, but for whatever reason, we went for Benitez, and that was just destined for failure the minute he was announced. He wasn't wanted, and he's an ex-Red. Steven Gerrard's a fantastic manager. He's going to be one of the best. Make no mistake about that. He will be one of the best. But you couldn't have him managing Everton either. You just don't do certain things. And given an ex-Liverpool manager the Everton job, especially one that has won the lot with them, you just don't do it. It was just idiotic. So my preference right now is a manager we can't have. And I wouldn't just only take the manager. I'd try and take the director of football as well. And that would be Graham Potter and the Brighton's director of football. I'd take both of them, because we don't just need a manager. We need a director of football. We need someone in the medical department. Benitez just sacked our head of medical as well before he left. So we need all kinds. So
what do you think, Leon?
Of the ones that are available, I'd take Lampard. He's my preference of the ones that are available. But if it was the summer and we were already safe, Lampard wouldn't be my preference. But of who's linked, he would be the one I would like, because he'll give young players a go. And we've got some good young players. Everton, Anthony Gordon, Benitez, he plays in fits and starts. Ferguson didn't play him last weekend. But he's got some good young players there. Lewis Dobbin, who's just signed a new deal. Jared Brathwaite, centre back. He was brilliant against Chelsea. We haven't seen him since, so I don't know what's happened to him. But I think Lampard would use them people, so he'd be my preference.
The problem is with Everton, I think, the fact that the decisions of managers they made over the last few years, you know, Koeman, Ancelotti, obviously managers have moved on, Silva, maybe sometimes Ancelotti obviously went to a bigger club, but I look at an Everton and I think they are a massive club. The league table doesn't show how big of a club you are, but I think with Graham Potter, would he really leave Brighton to go to an Everton at this moment in time? Possibly. But then he's also being linked to loads of other clubs like Man United. So I think the fact that Frank Lampard's being linked is based upon the fact that there's not really anybody else. There's not really any managers out there, is there?
If it was the summer, I think we could. Let's not kid ourselves. If Everton are stable and safe for next season, Everton go and take Brighton's manager off them. They just do. You know what I mean? Just like Real Madrid come and took ours. There's a food chain. We know where we are in the food chain. We're not going to go and take Chelsea's manager. We're not going to take City's. We're not going to take any of them players. But there's certain teams in the hierarchy of the Premier League. If Everton want your manager or your best player, they will take them. But if it's not the summer,
it boils down to a number of factors, and we've spoken about the instability at the club. There's also, you know, if it were to be Graham Potter, for example, whatever new manager comes in, there's this idea that there might not be much money to spend at Everton. You might have to sell half the squad before you can start bringing names through the door. And that, for a lot of managers, is not an enticing thing, Ben. I mean, whoever comes in, what do you think their prospects are?
Well, as I say, the club's been mismanaged by the owner. The owner's got more money than God. He's got more money than sense, clearly. And the frightening thing is, I read the other day, he might have spent £500 million on us. But in the period of time he's owned us, his net worth's gone up nearly 800 million quid. So that tells you all you need to know. He's got more money than sense, and he's meddling. So I miss the days when the manager controlled everything. Like Moyes, I'm not saying that. Towards the end of Moyes' tenure, I think that had sort of run its course as well. But I miss the days where the manager or someone at the club controlled everything from the academy to the recruitment to the picking the players and coaching them. That's what I miss. And Graham Potter, he would need his head testing if he left Brighton to come to Everton right now. He's got a secure job. He's a god amongst men there. For what he's doing, and his reputation's only soaring. If he comes to Everton and we go down with him in charge, his reputation's shot a bit. So I wouldn't blame him for not coming.
We said a little bit earlier on, Craig said a little bit earlier on, the Everton fans won't want to even contemplate the idea that they might get relegated. Before you go, Ben, is that something you're worried about, particularly if the club doesn't make the right managerial appointment?
I'm absolutely terrified of it, and not only am I terrified of it, I'm sort of starting to get to the point where I'm making peace with it, that it's going to happen. One of the biggest clubs in the Premier League who've been there the longest, only Arsenal have been in longer than us, and it's not by much. There's a very real possibility that we will go down this season through just mismanagement. Our best centre mid's just been injured. We've loaned a fella from Aston Villa, El Ghazi, who I don't think anyone... And don't get me wrong, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's an alright player. But we've used up a domestic loan on him now, and the new manager mightn't want him. So if Lampard comes in, and let's say he wants, I don't know, Loftus-Cheek, that's his one domestic loan that he can use, then he's got to go abroad. And we need players badly, because all of our players, as someone said earlier on and touched on it, they're all prima donnas. These players, people are pointing fingers at managers and owners, yet they are responsible. But some of these players have been through 7 managers and they're still there. They've got to start looking
I can't see Everton getting relegated, though, just to rest your mind, Ashur. I don't know that for a fact, but I think it's based upon the other teams just being worse. You know, you look at Watford, you look at Norwich, you look at Burnley. I can't see Everton getting relegated, but I understand, you know, the callers upset because they're in and around it. It's possible, but I just can't see it. Not just because they're a big club, but I just think the other teams are worse.
Kick off with Hugh Wozencroft. Tuesday to Thursday night, 7 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.